I cannot tell how soon she was aware of the serious nature of her malady. By God's mercy, it was not attended within much suffering, so that she was able to tell her friends in the foregoing letter, and perhaps sometimes to persuade herself that, exempting want of strength, she was otherwise very well. But the progress of the disease became more and more manifest as the year advanced. The usual walk was at first shortened, and then discontinued, and air was sought in a donkey carriage. Gradually, too, her habits of activity within the house ceased, and she was obliged to lie down much. The sitting room contained only one sofa, which was frequently occupied by her mother, who was more than 70 years old. Jane would never use it, even in her mother's absence, but she contrived a sort of a couch for herself, with 2 or 3 chairs, and was pleased to say that this arrangement was more comfortable to her than a real sofa. Her reasons for this might have been left to be guessed, but for the importunities of a little niece, which obliged her to explain that if she herself had shown any inclination to use the sofa, her mother might have scrupled being on it so much as was good for her. It is certain, however, that the mind did not share in this decay of the bodily strength. Persuasion was not finished before the middle of August in that year, and the manner in which it was then completed affords proof that neither the critical nor the creative powers of the author were at all impaired. The book had been brought to an end in July, and the re-engagement of the hero and the heroine effected in a totally different manner in a scene laid at Admiral Croft's lodgings. But her performance did not satisfy her. She thought it tame and flat, and was desirous of producing something better. This weighed upon her mind, the more so probably on account of the weak state of her health, so that one night she retired to rest in very low spirits. But such depression was little in accordance with her nature, and was soon shaken off. The next morning she awoke to more cheerful views and brighter inspirations. The sense of power revived, and imagination resumed its course. She cancelled the condemned chapter and wrote 2 others, entirely different in its stead. The result is that we possess the visit of the Musgrove party to Bath, the crowded and animated scenes at the White Hart Hotel, and the charming conversation between Captain Harville and Anne Elliot, overheard by Captain Wentworth, by which the 2 faithful lovers were at last led to understand each other's feelings. The 10th and 11th chapters of Persuasion, then, rather than the actual winding up of the story, contain the latest of her printed compositions, her last contribution to the entertainment of the public. Perhaps it may be thought that she has seldom written anything more brilliant, and that, independent of the original manner in which the denouement is brought about, the pictures of Charles Musgrove's good-natured boyishness and of his wife's jealous selfishness would have been incomplete without these finishing strokes. The cancelled chapter exists in manuscript. It is certainly inferior to the 2 which were substituted for it, but it was such as some writers and some readers might have been contented with, and it contained touches which scarcely any other hand could have given, the suppression of which may be almost a matter of regret. The following letter was addressed to her friend Miss Bigg when staying at Streatham with her sister, the wife of the Reverend Herbert Hill, uncle of Robert Southey. It appears to have been written 3 days before she began her last work, which will be noticed in another chapter, and shows that she was not at that time aware of the serious nature of her malady.